All right, class. First off, as always, good day and glad you're here. So, today we're going to be looking at amendments 4, 5, and 6. Now, the thing is, guys, it's really, really important that you don't just pause the video and just take down the notes, that you actually listen to this stuff because, again, just like the First Amendment, the fourth and fifth are some of the most important amendments that you really need to know in your life. Okay. And like I've said before, there's a lot of videos out there on TikTok and things like that where people say, oh, you cops can't do this, they can't do that. Um, and a lot of times those people are wrong, absolutely wrong. And I know people say, like, oh, I saw somebody talk to the cop and then, the cop did this, that. Thing is, guys, you have to remember cops' outfits and things like that, they can easily be bought, so chances are that was not a legitimate cop, especially one I've seen where someone says, I'm not going to show you my ID, and the cop just walks away. No. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So it's imperative that you do watch this video, actually listen to it. And since I'm not in class, I won't be able to answer any questions. I'm going to try to recall previous questions I've been asked in class from questions I had students ask me, and basically confirm or show them what really the amendment says about their rights as citizens. Okay, so let's go ahead and look up your objective. We're going to analyze the Fourth Amendment, which is a really big one, which is a really long one. The We're going to examine the Fifth Amendment and the significance of it. Why is it so important? And we're going to create an argument on whether search warrants should always be needed. Now, you're going to hear some things that cops don't need a warrant for. Okay, so when I'm asking for that, which is going to be, should they always need a warrant, or should exceptions be made, like it says in the Constitution and by law? Okay, so let's look at your warm up. So here is your warm up picture. So what do you think this artist is trying to say about when we're on our phones? So if you know what NSA means, awesome, that's great. You know, that's really going to help you. If you have no idea, I would suggest you pause this video, open another tab on your phone on the internet, and look up NSA, government agency, and that should really help you out. Okay, so what do you think? Okay, pause the video, write your response because we're moving on in three, two, one. Okay, so again, this video probably might be pretty long because again, this is stuff that is crucial. It's imperative that you know what this means and how it applies to you in real life. Okay. So the Fourth Amendment. This is what it says in the Constitution: the rights of the people to be secured in their persons, house, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describe the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Now, believe it or not, there's a ton of stuff in that little tiny paragraph. Okay, let's break it down. Okay, the first part: the right of the person to be secured in the person's house, papers, and effects against unreasonable search and seizures. So, if the authorities, and any type of authorities, cops, federal agents, things like that, they need a warrant to look through your stuff. Okay, they need a warrant that says, a search warrant that says they have the right to go through this. Now, who signs off on these warrants? It has to be signed by a judge that says, yes, okay, this authorities have probable cause, you know, to search through your house. Now, let's look at the word probable cause really quickly. What does that mean? Probable cause. It's like if you think, if like authorities think, if they have enough, you know, not necessarily proof, but just enough to kind of say like, yeah, this is probably this person's doing this and that. So it's kind of like if the cops see you walking down the street and you're in like bulldog outfit, all red, things like that, there's a chance that you be part of that gang, you know, or if you're wearing certain amount of clothing that gang members of a particular group wear, that kind of gives you an idea. If you saw somebody walking with some stuff on, you'd be like, "Oh, that's so and so, and they're part of that gang." Do you know that for sure? No, you don't. But because of what they're wearing, you can guess. Like, yeah, chances are they are. You know, if you see someone with a nice suit, tie, nice watch, nice combed back hair, things like that, looking nice, you might think, okay, that person's a professional. They got money. They're living large, things like that. Maybe, maybe not. You don't know, but just from what you can see, you're guessing. And that's what basically it is. That's what probable cause means. But it's an educated, good guess. Okay. Now, on these warrants, it says on there what they're looking for and where they're going to search. Okay. Now, they can take physical things, whether it's a person, the entire house, documents, TVs, computers, whatever, anything physical. That's what we're talking about here on the warrants. That's what that says. That hey, if they come into the house, they have a warrant. You have to let them in. You can't just be like, oh no, you can't come in even though you have a warrant. No, because you can get in real trouble for that. Okay, you have to let them in, but at the same time, you can ask them, give me the paper, I want to read it. While they're searching, you can read it. You may want to hurry up because on there it says where they're going to search. So if it says master bedroom, guest bedroom, this and that, but it doesn't say anything about the bathrooms, and you see them go into the bathrooms, you can be like, well, no. You didn't say anything on here about the restrooms. See what I mean? So you have to know what to do. And first thing you should do is read that paper really quickly. What does it say? Now, it might say the entire structure, the entire home of such and such address, the, all the area in the property of, such and such place. Okay, but if they say like the entire house, doesn't say anything about a shed, then they can't check the shed. But if it says the entire property of and it gives like the address, then that means yeah, the whole entire place. They can even dig in the ground for crying out loud. Okay. Now, I get this question quite a bit. Do the cops always need a warrant? No. No, they don't. They don't. No, they don't. Some of you guys know this. Some of you guys don't. Um, Typically, when a person gets out of jail, they're on parole. When they're on parole, part of their process of being in parole, the cops can come in at any time and check on that person. They don't need a search warrant to check the room and things like that. Now, if you are like sharing a room with them, the cops can come into your room and check the whole place. You can't be like, oh well, this is my side, that's their side. No, because it's a whole room. Okay, so they can like really tear up your place and look for things and stuff like that. Bring the dogs and stuff. Okay, but the thing is, uh, that's one of the reasons, or one of the things they don't need a warrant. Another one is very simple, and um, from what I've heard and from things I've read, um, this works for older people. They do this quite a bit with older people. They ask them for, can we come in and search? And if the resident, the homeowner says yes, they don't need a warrant. So if the cops say, can we come in and search? And the person says yes, then yeah, they can come in and search every place in the house. Okay, but it's also that's where another thing too, where those body vests with the cameras on there are crucial because if they come in and start searching and they say, "Oh, we got permission from your grandma or your dad or whoever," and they said, "No, it didn't," you could always look at that camera, look at the film, and see did they or didn't they say yes or no to the search in the house. Okay, now this is another big one that I always laugh when I tell this, but it's so true. Um, If you are running from the cops, right? You're running from the cops, going down the alleyway, things like that, and you make it to your place and you bust through the door and stuff like that, and you close it. Um, that doesn't mean the cops can't come into your house. They can come in. This is again in search of connection with an arrest. They are in the process of arresting you because you're running. And if this it's not a game of tag or safe, you run into the house, they can come in and then they can search your area, especially if they have you, you know, seen you with the weapon, or stolen items and things like that. And also now they bust in your house and it's on your hands. That now they have a reason to search. So yeah, your home is not like not a game, not a safe place, not a game of tag. Okay. Another one is emergency exceptions. Okay. Now this is like if the cops are going through walking down the street and someone's yelling, "Save me, save me, save me! Someone's trying to kill me, save me!" Or if they smell like um, explosives, stuff like that, or smell like a fire, then they could bust through a home to save that person or stop from whatever may be happening in that home. If someone's making a bomb, then they can stop that. Um, they don't need a warrant for that. Okay, they don't need a warrant. Another one, which again, it sounds stupid, but it's so true. It's public view domain. Okay, um, so if someone is out on their porch or front porch and they have drugs right there and they're doing this and that with them and the cops are driving by or they're walking by and they can see it, they don't need a warrant to get into the house to walk on there and arrest you. They can see it. Okay, if you're running and you toss a gun or something like that into someone else's house, they can jump the fence and get the gun. They don't need a warrant. They saw you do it. They can get there and they can go and get it. Okay, so all right, so those are the exceptions for a warrant. Now, this was a really big one. I've had some students in the past ask me too. What about your phones? Okay, now this has jumped back and forth several times in U.S. history. The first case was Olmsted versus the United States in 1928. Basically, this guy Olmsted uh, was the cops wiretapped his phone. They heard some stuff he was going to do, um, and then they arrested him. They basically said, "Yeah, our evidence is from this wiretap." He tried to say his Fourth Amendment right was violated, that the cops violated his privacy. Now, the judge at the time, who used to be a former president, uh, uh, Chief Justice Taft, said, no, the government did nothing wrong. The authorities did nothing wrong. The Fourth Amendment says persons, house, papers, and effects. Anything physical. A conversation is nothing physical. You can't grab a conversation, you know? So your Fourth Amendment is not protected because they didn't physically take anything. They listened, but they didn't take anything. And that's what the Fourth Amendment protects you from, taking things. Now, about 50 some years later, sorry, about 30, 40 years later, another case came up, Katz versus the United States. Basically the same type of scenario. The authorities were listening to this guy's phone call, and they try to say, "Oh, well, we're protected. We don't need a warrant, because of the Olmsted United States Act, a case." But in this case, they said, "No, no, no. The cops violated this person's privacy." And the Supreme Court at that time in 1967 agreed, yes, the authorities violated that person's privacy, which is part of the Fourth Amendment. So, yeah, the authorities need a warrant to listen to your phone calls. Okay, see, now that's another thing too, guys. You have to understand the law changes because different interpretations of the law. Okay, the Fourth Amendment doesn't say anything about wiretapping phones and things like that. Why? Because when it was written, phones weren't even thought of. Okay, so just because it doesn't say in the Constitution doesn't mean it doesn't. You're not protected, it or it doesn't go against you. Okay, you gotta know what's going on. You gotta be part of, listen to what the news is saying and stuff like that. What's happening to your rights. Okay, now that was the case that the from 1967 up until 2002, the authorities needed um, a search warrant to listen to your phone calls. But then in 2002, after September 11th, then came the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act basically said that the FBI can conduct physical searches or wiretaps on citizens with probable cause. Okay, now why did they do this? Because of the things with terrorism. They were afraid that, hey, people here in the United States, maybe citizens who are kind of in the sense defecting or helping the enemy, so they wanted to make sure, hey, these guys are, uh, not going to do another attack on us. So some liberties were taken, and the authorities could do physical searches, wiretaps, as long as they have probable cause. But then later, to make it easier for the authorities to get the information they need, they changed it to where if they have a significant purpose. What does that mean? So basically, what it boiled down to was this. Let's say I, the cops were, or the authorities were looking at me, thinking I'm a terrorist. They're going to look at everyone I talk to. And if everyone I talk to, if they said anything in an email about bomb or poison or something about the government, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in those exact sentence. It could be like, oh man, this dress is the bomb, and oh my god, this president sucks. Someone should do something. Oh man, if I was somebody, I put a bullet in his head. That kind of stuff in emails and things like that were flagged, and then that person was looked at, and they saw who they were talking to. So that's where the NSA came in, and we're looking at people as potential terrorists. All right, now and again, if when I come back, if you have any question about the Fourth Amendment or this next coming amendment, please let me know so we can talk and I can explain it more to you if you need it. Okay. Now, the Fifth Amendment says this: no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in a militia, when in active service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Okay, I know that's a big paragraph. Let's break it down. Pretty easy stuff here. First part: no person shall be held to answer for a criminal crime or otherwise infamous crime without a presentment or indictment of a grand jury. So if, let's say, you're being charged with being a mass murderer, like they're saying you killed 28 people, okay, they better have a lot of evidence, because especially with a big number like that, they need to have a lot of evidence against you. Now, if they have like one or two pieces of evidence, they have to present it to a grand jury, and the grand jury is these people who listen to the evidence, and they don't make a ruling. They just basically say, yeah, there's enough to go to trial, or they say, no, you need to get more. Now, why did they say that kind of stuff? Because again, if someone killed 28 people and the authorities who are trying to lock this guy away only have like two pieces of evidence, is that enough to put someone away? Chances are the defense will be able to knock those two pieces of evidence away, and then what? What evidence do you have to put this guy away? None. So that's why they do that kind of stuff. No, no, you come back and come back with more evidence. Okay. The next one. Nor person shall be subject to the same offense twice be put in jeopardy of life or limb. This is known as the double jeopardy clause. Okay. You cannot be tried for the exact same crime twice. Now, what does that mean? Basically, if you rob a convenience store, January 1st, 2023, you get arrested, you have your trial, you go to jail. Once you come out, you've paid your debt to society for that crime on January 1st, 2023. Okay? The authorities can't arrest you again saying, oh, you robbed the place on January 1st, 2023. Yeah, I know. I just got out of jail for that. I served my time. They can't arrest you for the same one. Now, if you rob it again, January 1st, 2024, that's a new crime. Okay, let's talk about the same crime twice. Okay, now let's say you're charged with killing somebody and you know you didn't kill them. You have evidence that they are still alive. Technically, by law, if you get out, you go to jail, you're accused of it, you go to trial, you're found guilty, and you go to jail, you get out. Technically, you can find that person and kill them, and the cops can't do anything to you. Why? How can you kill the same person twice? That's the double jeopardy clause. If you're being charged for killing Joe Schmo, how can you kill Joe Schmo twice? You went to jail, you did the time, you got out. How can you be charged again for killing him again? See, that's a double jeopardy clause. It's kind of a cool thing, but also there to protect you. Okay. Nor now shall be compelled to any criminal case to be witnessed against himself. You've probably seen this on like Chappelle's show and other shows and movies where they go, I plead the fifth. This is where it comes from. If you are arrested, you go to trial, you don't have to answer any questions in which you are um, kind of implicated in the crime. You could just say, I don't want to answer that. I don't want to answer that. When the authorities arrest you and they're questioning you, you don't have to answer any of their questions. If you go to trial, chances are your lawyer is going to say, don't take the stand. You have the right to say, no, I don't want to take the stand. Okay. That at that point, you should really listen to your lawyer. Okay. Because there's some people always want to get on trial who want to go up on the witness stand and say how innocent they are and this and that. And the prosecution cross examines and they destroy them. Okay. Once that happens, once you're on the witness stand, you can't say, oh, I want to plead the fifth. I want to plead the fifth. If you gave your testimony, your lawyer asked you questions, you have to answer the prosecution's answer, the questions. All right. Otherwise, you're going to be held in contempt of court because you just can't give off your side and don't answer the other side. Okay. And that's the thing. A lot of people on, TikTok and things like that will tell you, oh no, you don't have to answer anything when you're on the witness stand. If you've answered your side, you got to answer the other sides. Okay. Um, Now, you can't be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, meaning you have to go through the process. You have to be arrested, convicted, and things like that before the authorities can take your life, take your freedom, or property. You have to go through the process. They just can't take it, you know. Okay. Another one, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So if the authorities want to make your driveway smaller to make the road bigger, they have to pay you for that. Okay. Now, here's the other thing, too. This is another thing that's not really talked about all too much, but it is in the law. If the city or whoever, the state says, we want to use your property for this and that, we'll pay you $1 million. Do not say, oh, I want $100 million. Because then there's a little thing in the law called eminent domain. And basically, what that means is that the state or the city goes to the court and basically proves that what they're going to use your land for is going to be for the better use of the public. It's going to be make things better, life better for everyone, and things like that. And in which case, if they do make a good case, which usually they would, then the court's going to say, okay, you got to just pay this person instead of $1 million, $100,000. You're going to get way less than what the city or the state would offer you. Okay, so don't be too greedy on that. Okay, don't be too greedy. All right. And the Fifth Amendment is also where we get the Miranda case. You may have heard the Miranda rights. The police must read you your rights prior to questioning. Okay. Now, there's another thing too on TikTok and stuff like that I've seen on Facebook, not Facebook, I'm sorry, YouTube, where people say, oh, if the cops don't read you your Miranda rights, you get out of jail like that. No, 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 guys. Yes, the cops do have to read your Miranda rights. But if they have not read your Miranda rights, you keep your mouth shut. You do not say, oh, you haven't read me Miranda rights. You haven't read my Miranda rights. Because then all they have to do is say it, and there it goes. What you do is this: if they arrest you, tell you what you're charged with, take you in, book you, fingerprint you, question you. When they question you, all you have to say is, I don't want to answer that. I don't want to answer that. I would like to talk to my lawyer. I would like to talk to my lawyer. Okay? Then, with your phone call, you call a lawyer. I don't care if it's the dumbest lawyer on this earth. All you got to tell them is this: I have not been read my Miranda rights. They have tried questioning me without a lawyer. And basically, when you go to court, for the proceeding part, when they uh, basically set the date and go over the whole bail process and stuff like that, um, the judge, all your lawyer has to say is, Your Honor, my client was not read their Miranda rights. And the judge will ask the prosecution, where is the paperwork that says they were read their rights? Where is the paper saying that this person was read their rights? They don't have it. Okay. And that chances are, I mean, I have yet to hear of a case where the judge says, oh, well, that's all right. I have yet to hear of one, you know, but I put on there likely just in case there is one I haven't heard about. But chances are, I mean 99.9995%, your statements, anything that the cops have against you will be thrown out. Okay? But the key thing is you have to keep your mouth quiet. You do not tell them you haven't read me my rights. Okay? Because then once they tell you, well, there it is. Now, you don't have to write anything on here, but I do want to read it to you. This is the Miranda rights. A lot of cops, especially when they're starting off, they have a little paper booklet, and it says this: You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you. Do you understand the rights I have just read to you? With these rights in mind, do you wish to speak to me? Right there and then, if you don't want to say anything, you say no. They said, do you understand these rights I have just read to you? Yes. With these rights in mind, do you wish to speak to me? No. That's it. Boom. Okay? Don't be running your mouth. Because again, like it says, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. So if you keep shouting, I didn't do it, I didn't do it, you effers, this and that, blah, 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 you guys suck, this and that, I'm going to sue you guys, all that's recorded and all that will be presented in court. Keep your mouth closed. Okay? Now, here's another thing. I've had some students ask me in the past, what if I say no? When they say, do you understand these rights I just read to you? What if I say no? Basically, they have another way of breaking it down. They really do break it down for you even more. Now, a follow-up question right after that. What if I kept saying no? No, no. They gotta keep asking me, yeah, gotta keep breaking it down for me. No, what happens is this, guys. If you keep saying no, 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 what they're going to do is they're going to look at your history. Do you have any mental disabilities where you can't process, simple language and things like that? They look at that kind of stuff. Now, if you have nothing on there that says in your record that says, "Oh, this person doesn't comprehend," la la la, this and that. If you have nothing on there that says that, then they're just going to take it. I think it's like 5 times. They have to ask you, and if not, then they'll say, "Okay, yeah, this person is just being defiant." Um, they understand. Okay. Now I know some people say, "Well, I have a learning disability." Okay, granted, but after a certain amount of time, yeah, no, you understand. Because again, how did you get your driver's license? How did you get this, that, this, and this? You have to have some type of knowledge. You have to have some type of comprehension. So, yeah, okay. And again, when they ask you, with these rights in mind, do you wish to speak to me? Just say no. Just say no. You don't have to say F you. You don't have to say F no. Just say no and keep quiet. Okay. All right. The Sixth Amendment says in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and causes of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against them, to have compulsory process of obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. All right. Very first part, speedy public trial. What does that mean? Do you get your trial like right after you get arrested? No, 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 no. That's not what it means at all. Okay. It's about because back in the day, kings and queens, they used to have people arrested and their trial wouldn't happen for years, sometimes never, you know. And yeah, it was just a shady thing that happened back in the day. So to make sure that you got your trial and that people were able to go to your trial, they made sure that hey, it's done within a reasonable amount of time, you know, and your trial is public. Anyone can come in and see, whether it's your mom, dad, or just Joe Schmo down the road, you know. The other part, the impartial jury. What does that mean? The jury people you have in your case, they should not really, I hate to say it, but not give a care about you. You know, what I mean by that is they shouldn't be like, oh, I know that person. Oh, he's such a good guy. I'm gonna make sure he's okay. Or, oh, I hated him. He sucked. I remember him back in high school. I'm gonna make sure he did this to me. I'm gonna make sure he goes to jail. Okay, those people have feelings towards you or towards the case, and their judgment is gonna be shaded by their own prejudices or by their own feelings towards you or the case. They don't want people like that. They want somebody who's just going to listen to the facts and basically be fair in their judgment, saying, yeah, based off the evidence, this person's guilty or innocent. Okay. Um, the next part, wherever the crime happened, that's where the trial's going to be. Okay. So if you committed a crime in LA and you get arrested and so that you're going to be sent down to LA to be prosecuted. Even though may have got arrested here in the valley, you're going to be sent down to LA because that's where the crime happened. Okay. Um, when they arrest you, they're going to tell you so and so. Okay. You're under arrest for the assault, the murder, the robbery, whatever it is. Now, if you didn't commit it, the actual crime, let's say you helped out the person, you might be called known as the accomplice. You're being arrested. You're under arrest for being an accomplice to theft or murder or whatever. Okay, but either way, you are told what you're being charged with. Okay, um, at the trial, you get to see. the witnesses who said they saw you do things, whether they saw you do it, whether they were at the place and they saw it, you know, think they saw you or whatever. You get to see who it is. They have to show up to court. The prosecution and your defense just can't bring up a witness and say, oh, well, they said this, they said that. No, we need that person here in court. Excuse me. Because if that person does not show up in court, whatever they said to the authorities and all that stuff, or to your lawyer, gets basically not doesn't get heard in court, and the jury doesn't get to hear that. Okay. Now, speaking of witnesses for you, you get to bring up witnesses for you that says, "Oh, he's such a good guy. He's awesome. He's great." But again, if you bring out a witness to say good things about you, the prosecution gets a turn at them. And again, if that person, that witness, does not answer their questions, they could be held in contempt of court, and they can get in trouble, like really big trouble. So you got to make sure that people you put on, the witness stand, do answer not only your lawyer's questions, but the prosecution too. Because again, it just looks bad on you, and then they get in trouble as well if you have a witness who's being very hostile to the prosecution, things like that, or they're saying very horrible things to the prosecution or even the judge, which I have seen on those court TVs and stuff like that. It's just bad. Okay. The last part, you get a lawyer. Okay. If you can't afford a lawyer, one will be given for you. That's a public defender. Now, granted, guys, I know a lot of people give a lot of shade and a lot of crap to public defenders, saying, oh, they don't care about you. No, they don't do a good job. They're just there for a paycheck. Guys, I can tell you this. I dated a public defender years ago, and trust me, they have like a ton of cases, a ton. And they have like no life. They're always working. They're always talking to witnesses. They're always going here and here for briefings and to kind of help out the witnesses, prepare them for what kind of questions the prosecution might be asking and things like that. They're constantly working, guys. They're way overstressed and things like that. It's not that they don't care about you. It's just they got so many court cases going on, and they got to make sure everything they have is for that court case and that their defense is good and solid as well as it can be. Okay. Yes, they might miss a couple things, but again, these guys are people and they're trying their hardest. Okay. All right. So here is my question to you. Do you think the wording of the amendments should be more specific, saying exactly what the cops and the authorities and what your rights are? More specifically, saying yes to this, no to that, yes to this, no to that? Or do you think it's a good thing that the wording is very vague? They're not specific. They don't mention everything, so it leaves room for interpretation. So what do you think? Should it be more specific, black and white, make a whole list of things what can and can't be done, or is it good that there's room for interpretation? Okay, so think about it. Write your response. Okay, now with that being said, guys, I do apologize. Look at the time right now, and I'm realizing this is a long one. So if you listened to the whole thing, I'm glad you did. If you did not, please take some time to listen to it because, again, there's a lot of information and it does apply to your everyday life, guys. And again, when I return, if you have any questions of this stuff, let me know whether it's at before school break, after school, during class. I love talking to you guys about this stuff because again, I want you guys to be prepared for the real world, and I don't want you listening to fools on TikTok and YouTube who have no idea what they're talking about. Okay, so with that being said, you guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later.